No.
Doesn't feel good. Now, are you better?
Maybe.
You got rejected?
Yeah.
So sorry.
Oh, I can get it on mine, I just. Tomorrow night. To, do something.
So.
I workshop is, they're gonna call you.
Thank you. Just one more thing, can you change the weather for this week?
No, I'm really sorry, I'm skiing.
A few beautiful days and have, and then before you go back to Florida.
Thursday and Friday, 6 inches of snow. Saturday's fine, but if the work site's 6 inches of snow, it's gonna be hard.
I'll shovel that off.
Oh.
Friday?
Friday.
Friday night?
Yeah, I'll.
Snow?
I've got bed leaves. You know, I've seen it. Oh, you.
That's what I told you.
What is doing? It's just paper.
I'll be in Denver tomorrow afternoon. And I've got a meeting with John on Friday. Aside from that guy, there's that. Okay. Subcommittee is based on.
Oh.
3 years in a row. 3 years in a row, it snowed on that day. Up in the Wisconsin.
I can't eat it.
Let's just.
Do you have a checklist?
I do. We want to see it.
Get down with your bed.
We have them on a schedule.
Well, that's just the calls.
Like a rain dance thing. Clouds, thunder, lightning. Feel one of the canceled the game and never replayed it. And that day before that guy's name was Chief Limit.
All right, the Tampa Falls Board of Trustees regular meeting for Tuesday, May 16th, 2017 will come to order. The time is 7:01. All except Cook. Cameron, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
Mayor, I'd like to add the new business 4C project Cameron and I are working on as far as the access that we do the last month.
Okay,
So it would be that capital plan.
okay, I have a small item to add it forward. I'll pass on the about Department of Housing and Urban Development, a brief conversation about that. And the agenda posted had the F&D additional discussion of fire department, because I understand that is option and we on.
On they want to clear up before
Okay,
we should be on the agenda for the 6th.
all right, make sure you're on for the 6th then. All right, are there any further corrections to this agenda?
The item 10 should be citing CRS 246402 subpart F, not E, for personnel discussion.
All right, thank you. Oh, I would have gone right past that until the end. Okay. Anything further? I would move to approve this as corrected.
Second.
All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3 is the consent agenda. Approve the Board of Trustees meeting minutes for May 2nd. Bring into record the approved PC minutes. They did not have a meeting on the last meeting, their last date, and approve the bills payable run from May 3rd through May 15th in the amount of $7,338.57. Would any of the board members like to bring out any single item for discussion? Seeing none, I would move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4 is new business. Item A is discussion of the pool rates. We have a handout, but the 2016 actually was the 2015, it looks like on here. So the column on the left is how we ran the pool last year with the $3 senior admission and $5 regular. Shirley, would you like to start the discussion, or do you want me to?
Why don't you this one? I'm fairly new to the way you guys did it. You did discuss, different, ways of running it, but.
Okay. Well, I'll just run down what we did last summer. We were open approximately 11 weeks, except for the weather. You never know what's gonna happen then. The first hour of the morning is adult lap, and then the rest of the day is swim. The only difference is on this column, we weren't open until 7, and as I recall from the lifeguards, they didn't like being open in the evening because they just felt like there wasn't any business as it cools down. They liked being open earlier in the morning because we have some very loyal lap swimmers that like to get there around 9 and swim and start their day. The daily admission last year was $3 for seniors and $5 for ages 2 through 59. And that followed with the punch cards, which are much the same. A one swim is $5, 5 swim is $25. If you buy more, you get a discounted rate. $45 for 10, $65 for 15, $85 for 20, or there's season passes available. $105 for individual, $125 for any 2 persons in a household, and one single family household is $175. We did have one pool party last year, which worked fine. We did have the lifeguards for it. We only accept cash or checks at the pool house because there wasn't a method of having a secure credit card. In the past, they had written down credit card numbers and run the cards up here later, but I find that's a really bad way to do business. And so we didn't do that last year. But citizens can come up here during the week and charge as long as someone's here in the office. They can use their card here. But I didn't want the lifeguards having any question about writing down somebody's credit card number. I just don't think that's a good way to do business. There is a thunder and lightning refund if the pool doesn't reopen within 30 minutes, and you know how our weather is here sometimes it clears right up, sometimes you're done for the day. Haven't really offered any lessons last year, we could look at doing that again. The biggest hurdle that we're facing is minimum wage has gone up. So last year minimum wage was $8.31, and this year I believe it's $9.30. And in a few years, it's gonna be, minimum wage is gonna be up to $12 an hour, which is gonna be really hard on us as a pool and as a really small business. The pool has never made a profit, and in the past, that's always been okay because the taxpayers see the pool as an amenity. But at the same time, we can't keep digging that hole deeper. You know, we have to at least try to come a little closer to the top. But one thing that was suggested, and I will quote that here, is raising the rates by $1, from $5 to $6, and for seniors from 3 to 4. We have had some people already saying that our rates are too high, but I really think that $5 or $6 for an entire day is not that bad. There's not a lot of other things you can do for all-day recreation.
Why don't we go back to what the lifeguards were saying, there's no business after a certain hour?
Well, I do think that we need to relook at the hours that are on this schedule.
Solve the problem.
Well, it really wouldn't solve the problem because we weren't open that late last year. We were open from 9 till 5 or 6. I think it was 6 last year. And that way we got the adult lap swim in early.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the schedule, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And then, the only other thing is, you know, even when the pool is open for lap swim, we still have at least one guard that comes in at 8:30 to get everything open. You know, so you're really looking at payment hours between, say, 8:30 and 6. If you close the pool, they also have cleanup time. Sometimes you weren't getting people out of the pool and out of your locker rooms anywhere before closing. So you have to wait for them to leave, and then you have to have time to clean up. And that's one thing we don't want them shirking on, is trying to do their cleanup in a hurry. I mean, that's several issues there. So I don't like to say it, I'm not the first one that's proposed it, and I don't like it at all, but I don't know that we have anything we can do to raise the rates. Mac?
Is there any indication of what the rates are gonna be at the Taj Mahal pool?
In Woodland? No, I do not know. Pat, do you know?
I don't know if they've said. But
I spoke to, I actually was with town administrator about it yesterday, and I know that they're gonna be a little higher than ours. He didn't say how much more, but he did say that they're expecting to open in October. So
So we still have the summer.
So frankly then, if you raise the rates $1, you know, I suppose people are gonna feel like you gotta push them up against the wall this summer, but next summer they have a choice. And they can go to Woodland Park for whatever they charge, or they can come here for whatever we charge. I don't see that as really as an issue.
Well, no one likes it, but
No, but you still have to maintain, you just can't keep losing money.
right, and
So
especially.
you have to at least make
minimum
an
wage.
effort to recoup whatever you're gonna be losing.
So that's the first thing in clothing, so fourth.
Do you have quantities for how many, what the sales were last year in each of the categories?
Renee has that, of course, and I don't have that in front of me.
It was like, total was 1,300, I believe.
don't know. I really couldn't answer
There's
that.
a deficit of like a couple $100.
Yeah, and and the deficit where it always gets us is of course in labor. And we actually want, not more lifeguards at one time, but we need more lifeguards overall to cover for,
So we can keep it open more.
vacation and, right. And I did work some last year to cover some of that, but I don't know if that's always the best idea.
Did you keep track of the sales after certain hours?
I did not keep track of the hours, we just kept track of them overall.
Go back to what you were saying about staying open for cleanup. The Friday to Saturday is 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you close at 8 p.m., you're gonna be over another hour to pay them another hour to clean up.
Well, I
If
don't
you
think,
close at 7, you only have one, you don't have the extra hour to.
we weren't open until 8 last year. We closed at 5 or 6 consistently. And I think that's plenty late enough.
I think so too.
Because we found in previous years, the evening hours they sound good, but they're just not that popular. It gets cool, sun goes down behind the mountain. Nobody's hanging out next to the pool anymore. So I'm thinking if I'm not mistaken, I think we were 9 to 6. The girls usually could get everything cleaned up in half an hour. And that first hour, of course, is still adult lab. The dates look about right, still mid-June to maybe third week in August, as long as we have lifeguards, as long as they're not all leaving us for college.
Next year is when the say it's going up to $12 an hour,
In 2 more years.
2 more years.
It goes up a little bit each year.
So right now it's at what, 8?
It's
Nine something.
it's at 9 something.
And what were we doing last year?
Last year we paid $8.31 because it had gone up, very little, it had gone up about 25 cents from the feds. But we need to go up to the minimum wage, and then the head guard, who does a lot of our scheduling, makes a little bit more.
I'd wait to see how that other pool affects us before we take any rash decisions.
Well, if they're not opening till October, they won't affect us at all this
Not
year.
this year, no, next year.
Next year's gonna be another conversation, I'm sure. The only other thing that Berlin and I had talked about changing,
Drain the pool.
well, and that may be a serious conversation at some point.
Yeah, but it's tough on diving.
Well, it would be all right for our EMTs though, they can get a lot of practice. The only other thing we talked about changing from the past is instead of having our own concessions, having some concessionaire bring the machine, you could actually put it outside, then then none of the lifeguards are responsible for stocking or change or damage or returns. That all falls on somebody else, which in a lot of ways is gonna make it better for the guards, because they will get more deck time, because they won't be in as much with the concessions. So what I'm saying right now is we need to increase the rates, and I am seeing if the board has anything further to add on that.
I think it makes sense. And I think we're gonna be doing it again the following year.
I think we don't really have much choice.
So 4, 6, and then 1 swim would be 6, and then 5 swim would be what?
30,
30,
and then 54 for a 10 swim, 78 for a 15, and 102 for a 20.
And season?
That's arbitrary, but I'd say 125, 50, and 200.
that's what I'd say too. Because it's still a bargain, especially the family. Pool parties, I would also raise just by 25.
125, 100, and just keep the additional at 25.
other than the hours, moving those to 9 to 6 overall,
It doesn't change the number of hours we're open each week.
no. But just changing it on here.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the pay is gonna have to change on this. Other than that, I
What would your
say-
pay scale be?
Well, it's gotta be minimum, and,
What's it there?
well, if past we've done plus 25. For returning was plus
Oh, no,
25,
I'm
and then
pretty-
plus
It's
50.
it's probably on that poster right on there.
No, that one's old, because it says 7.25.
No, it's
Oh,
9:30. It's 9:30.
What's that other one?
That's, it's federal state.
Okay, all right. No, I knew I'd seen it somewhere. Returning is plus a quarter,
9:55.
and then the head guard would be plus 50 cents anyway.
980.
985. 980.
980.
980
And a returning head yard, which I don't think we have this year, but if we did.
if we did 1005.
Did you say that?
Yeah, for the returning. I wrote it all down.
Defeats the purpose of minimum wage, 9:30 should be 9:30 all the way around. Why raise?
Well, you wouldn't have to raise a returning one by a quarter, since everybody's getting a big boost.
If they're all
Except-
getting if they're all getting 9:30.
Except it is really nice to recognize that people have returned and give them a little incentive to come back again, instead of knowing that their friend that they just brought on is making the same wage.
Yeah, but it also works the other way too. I've seen it around the country, that people are raising the minimum wage and they're losing their jobs.
Well, and that's a real possibility for a lot of businesses, but
Laying
hopefully
off
not.
people.
So, from what I'm hearing, we're pretty much okay with the rates being raised. The discussion still is pay. Is everyone okay with the returning being raised by 25 cents, or do you want to just start everybody at 9:30? That's still the discussion.
How effective has the incentive been? Like, how many returning guards do we get each year?
We usually have a pretty solid, I mean, if we only have 6 guards, we've usually been getting 4 of them back.
I've had already 5 or 6 applicants that really wanted to do.
I think they'd be excited about getting 9:30 an hour.
I'm sure they're more excited about getting it than I am about paying it.
Exactly, but I don't know, that's what I'm saying, I don't think you need to give any extra to the senior guard, but I think it should all be the same.
Well, I still give the head guard more, just because she's gonna have more responsibilities with scheduling, and she's always the one who kind of gets it when I'm telling them they need to clean more and schedule better. They get a little incentive for me telling them to do better. But it's the returning that I think is the question. Do we want to incentivize that, considering everybody's getting an increase?
I'll stay on that conversation.
I understand. Cameron, what do you think?
I hear both sides of the argument.
No,
I,
How many hours do we have in the pool? Work hours?
it's two guards on duty all the time, right?
mhm. Well,
63 by 11.
72 days.
there's also
Yeah,
one other,
63. Sorry.
there's one thing to consider in it.
1,500 hours, 1,500 hours for the season.
1386.
Plus the cleanup and open and closing.
I went 63 hours a week, times the 11, but I guess that 63 is not accurate.
Because you gotta open and close the pool.
So 1,400 times, what are we talking about, 30 cents?
25.
Oh,
That's not that nickel. I'm making 3.
$346.50.
It's the differential.
It's 25
25 cents.
Across all the.
If all the guards were returned.
If all the guards were returned.
Well, I still think we should advise them.
They're getting what they want at $9.30 an hour. Minimum wages.
Well, yeah,
Now you know what
I know, I appreciate it.
Split the difference of 10 cents.
Well, you can give the returners 15. Nothing.
returning and getting more than they got last year, right?
They are returning, they are getting more than last year, but we're also having, pretty much the guards who return do take a little more responsibility, even if it's just a little more than the first year guards. They kind of watch out for the ones who are new, tell them the things that are changing, what they need to do.
And they all stay the season, right?
They usually stay most season,
Great.
but we always have somebody who needs to leave for camp or orientation or, and that's the life of hiring high schoolers.
And don't forget they are high school.
Most of them are, I think we might have one college.
David brought up a very good point. It's still a significant increase from last year.
It's a significant increase. And head guard, I just makes more, which I think is fair. Well,
Is there a motion?
there is not a motion on the table, but I was going to make one. I
Can you
can,
run through those rates again?
for the admission, $4 and $6, 6, 30, 54, 78, 102. Then on the passes, 125, 150, 200. Then on pool parties, 125, 100, and an additional half hour still, 25. At this point, I'd like to break this up into 3 minor discussions. And I would like to propose that we approve the opening and closing with the hour from June 11th through August 21st, and the hours being open from 9 to 6 daily, with the first hour being adult lap swim. That is my first motion.
August 21st is a Monday.
I think we're off on the calendar.
June 11th is a Sunday.
Well, let's,
June 10th and August 20th.
Yep.
Yeah, June 10th, August 20th.
When does school start, June? In August.
Around that.
I think
So,
it's,
I mean, we might be without them if they start school.
well, it closed on, I don't think that it starts before the 21st. And our last week to be open would be the 14th through the 20th.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the schedule passes. I would like to propose that we accept the increased rates that we just went through. Seniors at 4, regular ages 2 through 59, $6 per day. 1 swim, $6, 5 swim, 30, 10 swim, 54, 15 swim, 78, 20 swim, 102. Season passes for an individual, 125, 2 persons, 150, for a family, 200. Pool parties, first hour, 125. First hour with a resident discount is 100, additional half hour is 25.
Move approval.
Second,
Any further discussion?
I just note, I believe in the budget memo from this year, at the previous rates, the pool operated at approximately $12,000 loss.
Because of salaries.
Primarily labor is the driving factor, yes.
So now the labor's going up and you're raising the rates.
We have to raise the rates and the labor is going up. I just don't want to be way worse off than we
It
were.
would be an empty pool.
All right, all those any further discussion on that? All those in favor vote saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. 4-2. So the final is we were discussing pay. We have no choice on minimum wage. All guards would start at $9.30 an hour. I'm asking that the head guard gets paid at $9.80. I would like to see the returns being incentivized, and I'll go with 15 cents.
Say that again. Is it 15 cents on top of the 930?
So someone returning would, instead of getting $9.30, would get $9.45.
I would propose keeping the quarter.
Increasing all the returnings by a quarter,
Yeah.
okay?
When I say that, because the, labor being the driver, I don't know,
We're returning, that's really not much of a percentage increase, but the rates are increasing much higher percentage.
They are increasing a higher percentage, and I would like to make sure that we're not digging our hole deeper all the time. But I understand what you're saying. Is there any further discussion on the pay?
What are all four rates in the motion?
Haven't made a motion yet,
Oh, sorry.
but
What's,
if we went with what Chris is saying, it would be $9.30 for starting. Be $9.80 for a head guard. It would be $9.55 for a returning guard, or $10.05 for a returning head guard. I would make a motion that we approve those rates.
sorry.
All right, any further discussion?
I'll recuse myself from this vote.
All right,
Thank you. That was nice.
4, all right. And we'll need to pass unanimously, and, well, it doesn't. All those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 No,
And, all right. So, the motion will, is tied 2-2. And I would actually see that as a failure. I'd like to know what you would like to see instead.
930 an hour.
Straight across?
Straight across, yes. They're coming back at a higher rate. What was it last year? Was it
8.31.
831, they're giving $1 more. I'd be tickled to death if I was get money in high school, but I'd be tickled to death to get that kind of money.
And the same with the head guard?
Yes,
Same.
yes, we're in a crunch right now. I don't know why we want to be raising anybody. And 930 is what they voted for when they were, well, they're not old enough to vote, but I mean, it's what everybody was voting for, is a higher minimum wage, so they got it. So that's benefit from it. Why should we give them more?
I would still give the head guard a boost for their additional responsibility.
Would you still boost them by 50 cents?
Maybe not. Maybe more like $9.50 at a rate. But- And no additional for returning.
Okay,
How many hours do they typically work?
a lot of that depends on, how many we have. But they're not working 40-hour weeks. No one is, because they, For one thing, it's very hard to stay in the pool all day. It's a mentally draining job.
I think it was a lot of 20 and 30 hour weeks.
I'm thinking it was usually around 30.
I don't know about that.
Well, same, it's pretty much the same as far as I remember.
If you had 6 guards, it'd be about 20-ish hours a week.
Yeah, because some of them work more and some of them work less.
Well, we were giving the head guard at 8:30 last year. What were they getting instead of 8:30?
9. So,
Yeah, 20 cents, 20 hours, it's like $4 extra.
so do you have a counter? Cameron, do you have anything other than 9:30 and then 9:50 for the head?
Not really.
Is that a motion?
I'll make the motion, 9:30 for guard and 9:50 for the head guard.
I will second that in order to have discussion on that, or do you have any discussion on guard at 9:30 and head at 9:50 with no incentivized rate? Seeing none, all those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, we gotta pay these people something. And opposed?
No.
Well, this just gets better and better.
It's the direction it's incorrect.
So someone should follow that. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's too low. That's what's going on.
Is that what it is? All right,
I would throw out, if we're not gonna incentivize returning, I would say
940 and 980.
9:40 and 9:80 across the board.
well, for 940 for guard, 980 for head guard, with no returning bonus.
So you're gonna start everybody at 9:40 then, and then 9:80 for that. All right, is that a motion?
That is the motion, that kind of cuts the difference, I think.
That's kind of how I feel right now.
$2.
For the sake of discussion, I would second that. 9:40 and 9:80. Board, have anything to discuss on that? All those in favor of 9:40 and 9:80, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Nay.
No.
Well, as much fun as this is, I will go home sometime.
When does it end?
Well, we have to agree on something because these young people need to be paid. And right now, we're not
At this
really,
meeting?
well, we can put this off another meeting.
Well, we know it has to be at least,
Interviewing next week.
has to
Well,
be at least minimum wage.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
We made no decision, it's at least minimum wage.
Yeah.
These kids are gonna be delighted getting 9:30 an hour.
You can get it anywhere.
Huh?
You can get it anywhere.
And not
Well-
for lifeguards.
That's not competitive for
Huh?
lifeguards. It's not competitive for lifeguards.
and it is a stressful job. I will say that, a lot more than you would think. Because you're watching people's kids and they're not watching them. And I guarantee that's true.
Jane, are the ones coming back, are they local?
They're local, mostly here and one Woodland Park, I think.
So that's sort of local too, so it's an advantage that they don't have to go down the springs.
It is an advantage. We don't pay real well. They do like it though because it's outdoors. And I know that's true. What,
On the ones, on the applications you put down, any times that you're taking off, that you know you're taking off, that might be something also. Like
That would
if
be
some
good.
take off, you had more times last and we had to close early. So maybe that would help too. I mean, because they could take a vacation and still work here for their,
Right, and I don't know if that's on their
Yeah.
application.
A number of them have mentioned, I'm leaving out of town at this time. You know, I have one girl that's wanting, she's gonna be interviewed next week, but she's not gonna be able to start till the end of this, like mid-season, because they're going out of town.
Mm.
And we're gonna use her as like a float, just in case somebody calls in. You know,
and
so
I think
yeah, that's definitely talked
minimum
about.
wage is good. Because they can still do their trips. And they're local, sort of, so they don't have to have a person drive them up and down the paths.
Well, we've established the schedule, we've established the rates. Personally, I'd like to number crunch a little bit of this and when compared to what we did last year too. And I would like to see this again on the next agenda so we can make a decision about rates, but when you're on the minimum is 9:30.
Yep.
Matt?
Is there a means of determining how much money was taken in, how much money went out, and how much of that was salary? Because you're raising the rate to offset the raise in the minimum wage, so maybe what you should shoot for is just making the offset.
Renee has that, and so that's why I was saying we want to crunch these numbers and have it on the next agenda, and I think we'll have a better picture of how this will affect us. And I think it'll be easier to come to a decision when we have some firmer dollars about how this is gonna affect it. And so I don't think with these two things established, we will fall too far behind it if we establish pay with the next.
And, you know, if you came up with the proper figures and determined that you might have to raise the rate $1.10 or $1.15 or $1.25 to offset the difference in labor costs, maybe that would be the way to do that. That might satisfy some of you.
Well, and I appreciate that because it makes logical sense, but it's also very hard to keep the kind of change that they need if they were getting cash for that. So I'm trying to keep it to round dollars. So I would like to move that we table the third decision until the next meeting. Anyone have any objections to that? Let's move on. Item B is the Reserve Officer Program presentation. Berla, that's you.
Yes, ma'am. I've been directed by Mayor Pro Tem Cameron Thorne to give a overview of the Reserve Officer Program that Marshall Hodges has started to implement. So the first question we asked is, why do we need one? Why does Greenville need a reserve program? And some of this is police lingo, and so if you have questions, this is the gentleman to ask them. So we just talked about what he needed and what he wanted, and I'm just letting you all know what he said. So the first thing you mentioned is that it will be good as a force multiplier. So provide additional officers on the street. It'll bring a higher visibility, which provides a sense of security to the community. It will allow for additional emergency staffing in the event of flooding, fires, or any other emergency situations. It also, the second criteria that it'll add additional police coverage provides Green Mountain Falls with a minimum of 20 hours a month and additional policing per reserve officer. Provides coverage when Marshall Hodges is not on duty due to vacation time or any other scenario that leaves us with no police force. It also allows us to be more self-sufficient, a more self-sufficient municipality, reducing our reliance on El Paso County officers as well. Although they've done an amazing job helping during the transition of getting a new marshal. It'll give us some diverse training and abilities. Each reserve brings a diverse set of skills and tools to the marshal's office. Some of the skill sets will include background as a school resource officer, includes a strong evidence technician, person that knows how to take in the evidence and mark it and make sure it's secured. And also skill set in court procedures, which we're going to be starting our municipal court again, I believe in June of this year. So our compliance, that's important to us, that we make sure we're compliant So the state of Colorado allows us to use the reserve peace officers under certain conditions. The limitations and requirements are delineated in CRS 16, 2.5-110, and I hand out with all of the trustees, and if anybody else would like some, I would like to make a copy for you. And so as a matter of practice, the Green Mountain Falls Marshal's Office will only hire those persons who are fully certified as a police officer and will not currently accept any applications from those who are only certified at a reserve level. So the cost of the reserve program. These are estimated because the numbers are going to be different from the previous police chief. So the town must pay for workers' compensation insurance by state statute. The cost of the uniform shirts will be approximately $100 per reserve. Fuel costs and maintenance for patrol vehicles as a usage of an estimated 600 gallons of fuel annually. At present, there is a budget allocation of $1,166 per vehicle, and we don't expect this to change drastically. In some instances, the town will pay for physical and psychological exams as required by the Colorado POST. The total amount per reserve being about $200 for the psychological and approximately $165 for the physical exam. The town may have to provide maintenance training to keep reserve deputies current with their POST requirements. However, this training is usually offset by availability from other local departments. Reserve officers are responsible for all of their other personal equipment but must meet requirements of the marshal's office. The duties and responsibilities will be, they will be certified to act as a peace officer in the state of Colorado, will be able to enforce all statutes of the state as well as the codes and ordinances of the town of Green Mountain Falls. Reserves must complete the field training officer program to the satisfaction of the marshal. Reserves will be required to contribute at a minimum of 20 hours per month to the marshal's office, which I mentioned earlier. Reserves will be assigned to special traffic enforcement duties based on grant awards. Reserves can be paid through grant funding for their participation, but not through the town. Reserves will be used for special events based on availability. Reserves will be responsible for covering some time periods when the marshal may not be available. And reserves will respond to emergent situations and request backup from other neighboring jurisdictions. There are a few other handouts. Field training manual that Marshal Hodges has put together is in your packet. It discusses requirements, procedures, protocols, and what his expectations are. Also, the classifications of level 1 and level 2 reserve officers. Do you want to add anything to that, Marshal?
The field training program that you have in front of you is not exactly the manual, it's more the policy that requires adherence to the manual. I'm very well schooled in field training. I've written it for a couple of large departments in New Mexico. The people I'm dealing with are going to be certified police officers. They're going to know their stuff, or I'm not going to let them on the street. That will be borne out in the field training program. It is flexible in that it can be dropped down to less time based on demonstration of knowledge. Okay, they're not going to have to go through it like a rookie does, but they will have to pass each and every. Just to explain, new officers are evaluated on a daily basis on 32 categories. They may not experience all 32 categories. I may have to set up some scenarios for them to get experience or to get exposed to that so that I can evaluate them. It's a very detailed process that I'm not going to bore the board with here. For the sake of time, it's a 40-hour course when I teach it to train new field training officers. So, like I said, it's very, very detailed. It's very thorough. It's widely accepted, and it's been proven reliable and valid. Actually, in a losing case, the program was determined to be reliable and valid by the 9th District Court of Appeals which, as we all know, is a fairly liberal court of appeals. So to get a police program through that court was something for the time. This is something that we've used in the past. I don't agree with the way that it morphed in the past from a reserve program to a pay program. I have issues with that. I told y'all when I first got here that before I made decisions that cause money to come out of the town coffers, you would know about it and you would be responsible for approving. I still believe that and I still stick to that.
So the post certifications are the standards and the FTO is to your satisfaction.
Yes. There's two levels of standard of certification for post. There's a reserve level, which is approximately half of a fully certified police officer. The fully certified are the applications that I will accept. I won't accept the reserve officer because it's defeating the purpose.
What's the cost of the workers' comp?
I knew you had the question. We have put out an email about that and have not received the numbers back yet.
The 20 hours, is that per officer?
Per officer per month.
Per month. That's their minimum to participate?
Yes, yes, sir.
How much of your time does it take? It sounds like it's probably a high turnover scenario on an annual basis. How much of your time does it take to run new people through the program? So like if you were running 50 of them, I imagine you wouldn't have time for anything else. If you're running 6,
Okay,
where's the balance?
The beautiful thing about the field training program is it's exactly that. It's done in the field. So whatever time I spend would be time I would be spending anyway, regardless. I just have somebody next to me who's taking the reports and writing the tickets and I'm looking over their shoulder. Trustee, I would love to give you a time, but I've had people who are, I've always referred to them as rocks, and that's usually preceded by dumbass. But then you've also got guys who catch on and go and go and go, and you're looking and you're kind of like, man, that was more than I did. Which is probably gonna be my first couple of 3 trainings here, just because of the change from Colorado law to Mexico and stuff like that. So it may be kind of an inverted field training program.
Good, okay. Is there anything a reserve is not allowed to do that you could do if you were on duty?
No, not if they are fully post-certified and sworn in by the town.
All right, board, do you have any further questions?
So what do you need from us?
I was told it was a presentation, so I don't know that.
How do you, just out of curiosity, sorry.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
How do you see the scheduling? How do you see this working? And taking into consideration the seasons.
And once again,
Actually,
my priority is gonna be the special events. Derby days, the car show. We got one reserve sworn in right before the bike rally that came through. Fortunately, it didn't
Didn't cause any issues.
Didn't cause any
Thank
issues.
goodness.
That's gonna be the priority. Once again, it just depends on the numbers. If I've got one, I'm gonna have to schedule him very sparingly, unless he's willing to work in excess of the 20 hours a week. That's all I can really demand from him, which is kind of the standard. That's El Paso County standard. Colorado Springs, that's their standards, is 20 hours a month. I'm sorry. No.
You've been here 2 months now, right?
Yes.
How do you see the overall supervision of the town? How do you see I mean, I have my idea, but.
I need about 5 of them to be honest with you. I would need, for me to be absolutely comfortable with coverage in this town, I would need 5 people working 20 hours a week 20 hours a month to help me.
20 hours a month, okay.
It's 4 hours a week, each, about 4 hours a week is average probably.
Average.
Yeah.
So, just to clarify, since you've been here, and I believe you, don't envy you your job, just getting here, but I know that office was a turmoil, when you got here.
Still is, sir.
Okay, I'm sure it's gonna be for a while, but we have our high season coming up. So
Yes, sir.
the middle of June, actually roughly the middle of June as far as things, the Green Mountain Falls go. June, it's really a short season here, so June, July, August, maybe part of September. Is that when you see you need the 5? I mean, because I can't see them 5 people in the wintertime.
The only thing that my perfect world would be able to provide this town with 24/7 coverage, one person on, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I realize that's probably not ever gonna happen. During the high season, we don't need anybody probably after 2 o'clock and before 10 o'clock in the morning. That's kinda, when the bar shuts down, everybody kinda goes their way and goes to bed and things like that. 10 o'clock, things start rolling, the lunches start happening. We don't have to worry about the school during the summertime like we do during the winter. Even though it's outside of our jurisdiction, our children go there.
So how does that break down during the high season, for example? It's 5 people for 20 hours. It's you, for example, and one guy with you or one guy out without while you're.
That would be the best of all possible worlds during the high season.
Sounds good to me.
That would be the best of all possible worlds during the high season.
All right, Gordon, do you have any further questions?
Just on the, special duties for grant, I guess before we enroll in those, I want to have a discussion about those,
Right, yeah.
not really relevant to this particular program, but.
In your memo, you also identified level 1 and level 2 reserves. Can you
Yes, sir.
outline that a little bit?
Yes, sir. Level 2 reserves are basically the lower certification of the post level. They require direct supervision or direct contact with the person who's fully post certified. Level 1 does not. Is kind of where the break is.
But from what you said, you do not intend to have any.
I don't intend to take anybody without a full post certification. There's enough people out there, and let me explain to the board real quickly. This is kind of foreign to me, because coming from New Mexico, a reserve was paid. I mean, period. But in this environment, in this area especially, Fort Carson, Peterson Air Force Base, you've got a lot of people that are working that have their post certification, but they are working outside of the post system. So they get their certification here, 3 years later it expires, unless they work for a Colorado Post department. So you've got a lot of the DoD police that have worked, gone through college, gotten their certification, but they can lose it within 3 years, so they lose basically 2 years of their college and have to go back through post-certification unless they go to work for Colorado Springs, for El Paso County, for us, for Woodland, for somebody who is under the post system. So that's how I'm able to draw. There's people out there clamoring to get in the door, to be honest with you. There are.
Good situation.
Yes, it is. It's unique.
All right, I think that looks very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the asset capital equipment project. Mike?
All right, so we met back on 4th, right after the last meeting. Cameron and Berla, no, you were there. And so I'm just gonna kind of read through this and then we can kind of go through it, just bring it up, going through my notes. So there's a standard that has been brought up, and Cameron, I'm gonna start off, first off, what is the standard? It's from G something.
It was the Government Finance Officers Association
GFO.
standard was, 2 months of your general revenues held in reserve, as a minimum reserve.
Alright, so the I couldn't remember the acronym for it. So the general office, so the 2 months in reserves. So because of lots of different things, some of it's salary, there's a lot of expenditures over the last 18 months that we haven't needed to spend. So for those, with the 2 months of reserves, it's about $190,000 in excess if we follow that guideline. So while 190 grand is it's a lot of money, we want to make sure that we use it to keep Green Mountain Falls moving forward. We have a couple things going on. We've got a CIP plan. It's got a lot of projects. It's got some forecasted dates. For the 2017 budget, we put $30,000 towards that CIP fund already. But we also have a lot of capital assets that we need to plan for obsolescence. So we'd like to build out an asset replacement program, identifying the items that we want to keep in inventory and that we need to plan for their eventual replacement. So we've got we've got more needs than we've got money. So we've got the lake project coming up, and some of while there's a lot of grants that are coming along to pay for the bulk of it, there is some general fund money. Some of it's going to be possibly in-kind donation, but oftentimes we still have to pay for that in-kind donation, whether it's through staff salaries, fuel, or whatever. So there's $71,000 that is needed for storm drainage and some other aspects of that Stilling Basin projects. So last summer, CIRSA gave us a list of improvement opportunities, which is about $15,000, give or take, for secondary door, some exterior lighting, some security systems, some smoke alarms. So, yeah. Another one was before Michael left, he had put together a plan to rekey the town for about $1,000. We put $8,000 into the budget for just some basic AV equipment. And this is something that, frankly, we've been talking about for 2 years. I'd like to put $15,000 towards that and get it done. Last year, we received a bid for $50,000 to fix potholes in this town. Now, a lot of those potholes happen to be on Belvedere. Got that project coming, hopefully coming forward. But say half of it was elsewhere, that's $25,000 that's probably needed on potholes throughout the town. This could be either used to hire an outside company or, and need your input on this, whether it's have our own hot patch machine to where we can take care of our own roads. We have our own roads, we have our own public works, maybe it makes sense to not hire that out.
Or thirdly, borrowing equipment through the RTA.
Yep. So options for that, but we have potholes in town. Another one is the water truck. Over the past couple of years, we've rented a water truck to put down mag chloride. So there's a few options moving forward. RJ, again, so one is we keep renting and doing what we've been doing. It's about $3,000 per application. And that has actually limited the number of applications we've been able to put down. Second is to buy a water truck, water the roads ourselves, and still hire the mag chloride company to come and lay it down at an application rate to put it down. And thirdly is to buy a water truck and a chemical tank to where we can lay the water down with a water truck, have the chemical on site, and then lay it down with the mag chloride. And what that does is allow us to do smaller patches of road at a time. And instead of the week before, where we've all seen it, where there's a mad scramble to grade all the roads, to pack all the roads, to water all the roads, and hope that the rain doesn't come just at the wrong time. At this time, you can pick areas to do and grade them and compact them and water them and apply the chemicals without being at the mercy of the weather and scheduling of the truck. So it's just kind of throwing out a lot of things. When we look at the CIP list, there's a lot of projects for the bridges, and I'm not sure where some of the figures come from for those, and I'm sure maybe it would be good to have somebody come out, whether it's a county bridge inspector, whether it's a county engineer, or an outside party, to give us some perspective on where these bridges stand, what their lifespan is for the.
There was a engineering group came in January to do one of the bridges here locally. RJ Banesh, RJ went to pictures of the rest of the bridges, whether they were bridges or not, some of them culverts. And we sent them to them a few days ago, and they're gonna be giving us a bid on coming out to proper inspection. The county will not do it because they have to be 20 feet or larger center line for them to do it. And we don't have a
We don't want it.
we want it, I think. And so, I'm expecting, hopefully, he emailed me today a few times, I think probably, I would say, end of the week, maybe first of next week, we'll have a number put towards what a proper inspection would be on all of our bridges, and then we'll have.
Okay.
So put down an estimate for widening bridges too.
Widening bridges.
They have to be, they're not wider, they have to be longer. They have to be longer.
Widen the creeks.
Yeah, widen the creeks.
So as the weather gets better, starts staying lighter, darker, I'd like to see the board, the planning commission, whatever citizens walk the town, maybe before a board meeting or a planning commission meeting, but together walk through and see what the bridges and look at the pool, look at the parks, the public works, let people see the equipment that we're talking about with these asset lists, and have some conversations about what we've got and how we can best utilize that stuff. So I just rattled off a lot of things, but just to recap, Lake Project, $71,000. Surface improvements, $15,000. Rekey the town for $1,000. Audiovisual, $15,000. Potholes, $25,000. And a water truck, just to guess at $30,000, is $157,000. There's money left over, and if we can pre-fund an asset replacement program to where we can continue to look forward with lifespans, with more realistic lifespans than I'm giving. So getting y'all's input and identifying when we're gonna need money and be ready when it comes time. It'll probably force our budgeting to where we spend our money ahead of time, and hopefully not more in an emergency situation. So I'll stop there and ask if there's any questions. Is there anything that I missed from our
No, I
conversation?
think you covered it all, yeah.
I appreciate you folks putting thought and time into this. This is very helpful. Initially, I'm hesitant to go down as low as 2 months in reserves. I think that that's a little too aggressive in spending that down, particularly as we look at comp plan and other things coming up and getting a feel for what we might really wish we had a pot of money to do something. It might be a brilliant idea to use $50,000 to leverage, and meanwhile we've already committed it elsewhere. So I'm a little reluctant to play with the whole 190 or so that you've identified. But I think that.
So that 190, just to be clear, is after the two.
That's correct.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
just so.
I'm saying 2 is too low.
Yeah.
Even though we've got emergency reserves and other reserves beyond that as well, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that I think we've got a lot of change going on in Green Mountain Falls. I'm not sure now's the time to spend down cash. I think talking about coming up with a developed and thoughtful plan as to what we wish to do with it into the future, I think is very wise, and now's the time to do that. But I think immediately saying, yeah, let's go ahead and earmark, 100,000 and go spend it next week or next 6 months is too soon. I think thinking about planning for it is appropriate, and I think that's great. On the other extreme, I'm really encouraging for the town hall AV stuff. That needs to be done. We've only approved it, I think, in 3 consecutive budgets and never spent it. So I think it's time to triple approve it and actually spend it.
Agreed. To your point, there's one of these that's almost half of it, $71,000. That isn't. It is to ensure that we have, if all these grants come through, that we have what we need to ensure that we've got our part covered. And oftentimes, when you're looking for in-kind donations or you're looking for donations, people want to make sure that we've got our part covered. So of that $71,000, I don't know how much is going to be hard money, and it actually wouldn't be for this year.
However, until we know otherwise, we have to think of that as committed.
Absolutely, which is why we grabbed a hold of it.
Although we're gonna work hard and try to get
Yeah.
a lot of donation, right? And we've got a lot of encouragement with that.
Yeah, because the numbers you had put together was all in-kind labor and equipment. So we can eat into that 71 very quickly, hopefully.
Yeah.
Also, there are some things on your list that have to be done, the recaning of the town, a couple of the other things. So, I mean, it's definitely a good wish list to go off of, and maybe find some more economical avenues to.
So to turn this from theory to realism, we've got a need to do a budget amendment, and I would like to possibly do a workshop the next meeting, and then be prepared to present a budget amendment the second meeting in June, in which case we would need to identify the needs versus what we would cut. How much do we want to, if we don't want to put 2 months, we want to put 3 months, what do we need to hold back, and what do we feel comfortable with as group? So
Well, let's schedule that workshop then for June 6th. Looks like it, at 6. Is that optimistic?
Did you say the second
yeah, I
meeting
just-
in June?
no,
Yeah.
I just said that, but
You won't be there.
I'm not gonna be here.
Good job.
So you guys have fun.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna be here. If we pushed it back one meeting, we're not other than identifying a few things that need to get done, like rekeying the locks. If we were to do the the workshop on the 20th instead, and do
On the 4th of July.
amendment.
Yeah, I don't really want to meet on 4th of July. Because I'm not patriotic that way.
I mean, and I don't have to be here on the 6th.
You're not here on this.
I mean, I don't have to be a part of it. I don't have to be part of it,
Well, you'll be a part of it whether you're here or not.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you know what that means. That means you get left with what you don't want to do. So should we
Fearless.
try to have the workshop on the 6th?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
there were more than just trustee Butts involved in.
That's
right,
So,
When's the next meeting?
June 6th, and then June 20th.
So workshop on.
On the
June
6th?
2nd Or 6th?
June 6th at 6.
With a goal towards culminating in a mid-year budget amendment
Right.
on
Which
June
would
20th.
happen on June 20th. All right.
And I think from your comments, suggest there's 3 conversations that we should have, sort of a discussion or agreement, policy or whatever we want to come up with on reserves and what that should look like. and sort of formalize that. And secondly, the long-term capital replacement and those kinds of big things, and then secondarily, spending down the excess money and how that flows into these various pots that we're thinking about.
And then just a fourth would be there's day-to-day operational changes in the operations budget as well at this mid-year check-in.
We need to do that too. All right,
Would you like to do a walkthrough of the town?
Right now.
right now.
Right now?
Sure, but what-
Morgan County Fair.
On the 6th or on the 20th or?
He's the sixth day over here.
Sometimes I'm a lot more productive when I'm not here.
We could do that on the planning commission night as well.
There you go.
I really think we should too, is have that on, 23rd. Or we could have it on the 13th, actually. We should do it on the June 13th, that way it's post conversation, but if people have questions about assets.
Or would it be better to do it before the conversation? So there's knowledge of what
Well, we could do it on
We're talking about.
May 23rd. I'm not sure if, I'll be back from Denver. I think I'll be, but maybe I'll be,
Your project, the presentation.
That's o'clock.
I'll be driving around Denver going.
Spending the check.
23rd should be all right,
So June 23rd?
May 23rd.
May 23rd.
What month are we in?
Walk across.
I'm on the walkabout,
17th.
Planning commission meeting is at
6:30.
6:30.
On the walkabout at 7.
What time do you wanna do the walk?
7?
We'll do it before,
Well, if you do it at 6, they start at 6:30, you better walk fast.
or they're gonna be with us.
Right.
So I didn't know if they wanted to do their business. See, I don't know what's on the agenda for
We're
the
gonna
23rd.
have some action items on the agenda.
I don't know if you'd have them done in half an hour or not. Those conversations can go on. But I don't want to go past 7 because it starts getting dark.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking, if we started at 6.
We start at 6. All right,
Would that,
It's only 30 minutes to walk about.
well, I was gonna ask him if that would put them in the fence, do they have to start at 6:30?
they could start their meeting at 7 if
Yeah.
Cactus agrees to it.
That's what I was.
That's a question for
Not to-
Cactus.
Yeah, not to.
All right. If we have nothing else on that. Item 4D, I brought up, we got a letter from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and we have participated in this for several years, many years. The letter says, we are pleased to inform you, this is from El Paso County, me. We're pleased to inform you that the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has notified El Paso County that it may requalify for designation as an urban county. Notification from HUD is attached. El Paso County intends to seek redesignation and if successful, will be eligible to receive an allocation of the Community Development Block Grant Funds for federal fiscal years 2018 through 2020. The Gold Community Development Block Grant Program is to provide funds for decent housing and suitable living environments along with the expansion of economic opportunities, principally for low and moderate income persons. As an incorporated local government with an automatic renewing intergovernmental agency agreement, in effect, the town of Green Mountain Falls is allowing CDBG funds to be utilized if included in the urban county. Also, should El Paso County receive a percentage of home or ESG funding, incorporated communities that choose to participate in the CDBG program are automatically included in a home or ESG consortium with El Paso County. As a result of participation in the urban county, the local government will be exempt from applying for CDBG funding from the state of Colorado or participating in other home or ESG consortiums. However, the town of Green Mountain Falls has the right to be excluded from inclusion in the urban county and terminate their renewing intergovernmental agreement with El Paso County. We have done this and been a member of this for many years, Tyler knows. And what they are asking is that, and what I'm asking is for approval to sign the letter that says we will continue to be part of the IGA. CDBG, we don't qualify for housing in this area with CDBG, but we do qualify for assistance grants, such as when we wanted to get the accessibility walkway or fishing pier at the lake. And so although it's not explicitly stated here, this sort of grant does apply to help us with accessibility issues.
Additionally, funds through particular social service organizations do benefit residents of Green Mountain Falls, and with extended services up pass and through Green Mountain Falls through our participation with this, everything from seniors to care for children during court cases and things like that. So it's been tremendously beneficial. While I'm fully supportive of us being involved in it and continuing, the flip side of it is this is a federal program that's taking our local tax dollars and passing them to the DC and filtering them back through. And it is extraordinarily burdensome in terms of qualifying and using these funds. It is an example of how federal bureaucracy at a local level is a problem. So until that gets corrected, we should participate so we get the money.
And,
so we get our money.
and if we do participate, it does help El Paso County, who have also helped us.
Move to ask you to sign.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I will sign this and we'll get it back to the county.
Just one more note on that, if anyone is interested, the county has a good website tracking past projects, and it's really exciting, the projects that have been funded, the impact that this program has made in our county and even in our area. We typically give out anywhere from $600 to $1 million or so dollars every year, and it's filtered in everything from public infrastructure projects to social service organizations to ADA accessibility, things like that.
Well, they're very excited to help us as the lake project moves forward, so I think we have a,
And as chair, I'm
Good
going to
job, Ed.
advocate strongly for it.
yeah, don't repeat yourself, that'll be fine. No, I think that'll be a good project and some good for us. Item 5 is old business, short-term rental ordinance update. Do we have any updates from?
I did see us on the website. The draft ordinance is on our website, in the documents page.
Great.
So, thank you.
P-card update.
Trying to find the original articles of incorporation, and we'll be heading to Denver to do that next week. And so we have to gather all of that together for them to continue, but we've got a big pile of paperwork just about there, so.
Great. Item C, comp plan scope update. Do we have anything further on that? Still in the same place?
The only thing I'd say with the comp plan is I am meeting with, via phone Thursday with Ann Miller from DOLA. They have a 50% matching grant that we could receive to help us with our comp plan. And I was assured that we might maybe get a little bit more.
Okay.
Additionally, on that same note, there's some planning dollars that will probably become available in the next 6 to 8 weeks. PPP, CG, it's DOLA mini grants. So that's similar DOLA source, but different conduit.
Different, yeah.
Cool.
I'm assuming we can't match the DOLA funds with the DOLA funds.
We sure try.
But we can extend the total. I'm sure that.
on some planning.
Okay, item D, the last item in old business, the donation from Mr. Bratton. Did we get that information in that we were looking at last time?
No,
Well, it was in the minutes here, that's why I was asking.
I promised to do it, and I will, but
Okay, I'm just
you're not
asking.
looking to spend any money until 2018, so
Well,
you
just,
got a little time.
okay,
Been kind of busy on a couple other projects.
that's fine, just wanted to update.
They just keep them on.
Item 7 is public input. Lots of train spot there. If anyone from the public has something they would like to address to the board, please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lena Fox, I live at 11440 Belvedere Avenue, Green Mountain Falls. I just want to remind everybody that we have a potluck meet and greet this Sunday for the town staff from 5 to 7. And I would like to have everybody come if you can. The food's fantastic, it's a great place to meet your friends and family, and just, I hope you can all come. Okay, thank you.
And it is in honor of the staff,
It's
so,
honor their staff, yes.
so, we'll bring extra food.
So we're, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rick Williams. I represent you at the PPRTA CAC. And I was going to give you some numbers. I will give you some good information. There is going to be additional funds coming forward. We are doing, what is it about this time of year? We've already done one budget amendment for the CAC, or PPRTA. We are on the second, and literally less than a week ago, just about a week ago, we decided we're not sure whether it's $4 million or $6 million budget. I know those are big numbers compared to yours. I happen to be involved in several budgets, so I don't know what it is about the middle of the year. Everybody's getting out of school. They're going off with their kids. They're not there. Some people take off on June the 6th after they put great ideas for it. Just to bring you up to date, we have a problem with the CAC and one of the member government entities that consumes an awful lot of time. The chair and myself have met with this particular government entity, and now I've been asked to come forward. So to let you know, the CAC has a very strong feeling about looking out for the interests of all of the member entities, regardless of who they represent. And so the board gets relieved of that pressure and gets 45-minute meetings, and we get 2-hour and 45-minute meetings to take care of a business this particular entity doesn't feel the need to be transparent. Okay?
Probably need to point fingers and name names.
I'm sorry?
There's probably only one person that knows who you're talking about. You probably need to-
I would like to stay out of it, but I'm literally right in the middle of it because I'm the one that has called them on the card. And when I say that, we had a previous chair that questioned professionalism. And that's not what we're there to do. You're the mayor. I have no business coming up here and telling you how to do your job. That's your job. But when it involves what is not said by you, okay, I have no right to criticize that. If I disagree, that's my prerogative, and it's my responsibility to do it to you personally, tell you, okay? And that's the way it was until, or it was not the way it was. And we got a little bit upset at a meeting, and that chair that was there, and Tyler knows, you're very fortunate to have somebody that has the exposure that he's had since the beginning and knows the history. There are politics in it, big time. And it's kind of difficult for some of us to deal with that. You work, you have some employees, they work for you. I hope they're looking out for your best interest, but not at my expense, i.e. public, where we have a public document called PPRTA 2, passed in 2012, went into effect, 2012, went into effect 2015.
But those documents, it's amazing, just your information, somebody said something about bridges that you want to talk to about the county. CDOT has a different standard than I have. I am an engineer, I am a general contractor, both retired, or retarded one. But seriously, I'll give a certain entity, because we've had a major discussion, they wanted to a couple of culverts with bridge money. Being an engineer, a bridge has an abutment on one end and the other, and maybe some piers in between. Okay? CDOT classifies anything larger than 48 inches diameter as a bridge. I didn't know, but at least they had a standard. It wasn't something they yanked out of the air, so we kind of took the air out of our balloons that were just, hey, you aren't using bridge money for this. But that's some of the things that the county does. And it really is my pleasure. I would like to be able to come back and keep you up to date, but I thought it was important that you know that there are some issues with a specific entity and the transparency. And I'm not talking little money either. I'm talking several $1 million. So,
Thank you for your service on the CAC.
I'm sorry?
Thank you for your service on the CAC.
Oh, I love being right in the middle of it, Susan.
Thank you.
I will say this, when I talk about budgets, I appreciate what you do, I really do. It is not an easy task. He's asking for $5, he's asking for 10, 5, 25, 15. You've only got $10 to start with, and everybody's asking for at least the $10. It's up to you to decide, and then have people like this, the public, come say, why did you spend $2 over here instead of 5? Whatever. More power to you. Hope you sleep well. I never do. And thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Right, any further input? Seeing none. Item 8, correspondence. PC draft minutes from May 9th, the meeting was canceled. Reports. Roman, David, do you have a report?
No.
Cameron?
Just that we had a work session before this board meeting to discuss how we proceed with our code updates. We kind of discussed having 2 chapters per month, and Baldwin told Tyler to take the first 2 chapters.
She did them originally.
So what we'd like to do is have, take our comments into the text that we'd like to see them say instead. Okay. Have a work session to go through that. At least we have a baseline to discuss of actual text, and then from there give to the attorney to make it legal before we go through the adoption process. And if everybody takes the 2 chapters that they commented, that they volunteered for commenting, then we'll get through it by the time we get to next year's budget.
And of course, the rationale is we could, of course, send it all to the attorney and then we'd be bankrupt. So we can try to get that written.
So when's the timing on that?
We're gonna start in June.
So June 1st meeting, so it's June 2nd.
Clever,
clever. I don't think it should be June 6th, we really need to trust
I think we need to do it on the 20th because we're already having budget workshop on the 6th. So June 20th, you got a little work for you there.
It'd be another work session, not ready to like adopt anything at that time, but having something to look forward to. And then the rest of us should work on our chapters as well, in anticipation of the same session.
Those going. The only report I have, you guys already know, we'll be presenting on the 23rd for the lake grant. See how that goes, and we'll report back. Tyler?
As Red mentioned, the RTA is collecting a lot of money, and so we're doing a second one budget adjustment. Further down the road, a possibility, and there's been discussion of potentially going back to the voters to take some of these excess revenues that are being collected and seeing if we can add I-25 widening into that mix and not change the revenues, but it requires to go in before the voters because it's a dramatic change from what we promised the voters originally, but it's such a high priority and there's such little dollars, it almost makes sense that we have all this excess money that's generated here locally. It's a local problem that we can combine with one of the struggles that we're having is it's outside of our CDOT region.
Are you talking north of Monument?
Exactly. Monument, Council Rock, and that widening. So if we could contribute some dollars towards that, it might help accelerate that project. So it's simply an idea and a concept, and I floated out there for people to chew on and think about and provide feedback. But I promise it'll be controversial, but I think it also makes a little bit of sense too. But we can see, and I think presenting it to the voters in such a manner is the appropriate way to go and see what their thoughts are.
Right. Right.
Nothing further.
Chris?
Nothing.
Verla?
Have a few items. We had our SURSA audit was complete. All departments did well, and a special kudos to the Marshal's Department for receiving a score of 103. And we had not 103 out of 100.
Oh, if it was at 1,000.
Yes, I've got one. No, and the other departments we have not received our number yet, so we're in a bit of a competitive mode right now. So, as I mentioned earlier, I have an upcoming meeting via phone with Jola and Miller regarding the comprehensive plans, 50% matching. Also, the bridge inspection did was email photos and spoke to Mr. Mark Hamus, the vice president of Alfred Venetian Company. Pictures have been taken by RJ and notations of locations, and they have been emailed as requested. Staff ID cards have been ordered and should arrive next week. They're not the OA card, they're just staff ID cards here. I met briefly with Mr. Florence, Mr. Frickin, and Chief Murphy about the progress at the new fire station, and there was an issue with the surveys, but they weren't here this evening, or they didn't present. The credit card update I mentioned earlier, we're waiting for the articles of incorporation to be found next week. OEM badges, as a reminder to all the trustees and the mayor, please fill out the form I have there with your information on it. I will destroy it when I'm done filling in their online form for our OEM badges. We have a website update. We've applied and signed an MOU for SIPA, Colorado Internet Portal Authority, to produce a more user-friendly and interactive website. Also address standardizing our email address for town hall and trustees as well. I also have in front of you in the handout a short-term and long disability. I was asked earlier about the cost for our staff. Also, Renee is on vacation till 19th. Yesterday, I attended a luncheon at the CML luncheon in Fountain. Was able to meet a number of other administrators. I also won the CML 25 gift card for free training. So kudos to me. Public Works, RJ's been in academy training the last 2 days, pool academy training. And he'll discuss, we can talk about the locks. Okay. And last week, Marshall Hodges was sworn into the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. Me and Jane were also in attendance. Photos are taken. They're going to be probably on the website tomorrow. Additionally, today we received this little award, Greenmount Falls Board of Trustees. Congratulations for your contribution and support of the Manitou Springs School District 14 Partners for Healthy Choices. Your partnership has been instrumental in receiving the Governor's Award for School Health and Wellness. So thank you very much. And I'll put this in there. And finally, we also received the report today, and there are copies in everybody's box in there. And I'll leave one out in the lobby as well if somebody needs to review.
There's lots more available.
Yes, there are. We had just 10. Last year, apparently, the room were delivered and not many were taken. We didn't want to overdo it. So all of you have them in your box in there. And also, they'll be in here for any citizens. And that's all I have.
All right, RJ?
I'm telling you about the lock shove.
Yeah, I bet.
We had money come in, the bid's still out, so I don't have any numbers for you, but just retaining all of town, basically, I'll have a quote from Keith, I'll just to get a fresh start, so we know where we're at. Well, kind of conclude that's the best thing to do.
Do you guys have a custody plan for keys? So
We
that you don't have to do it every-
We have addressed that issue, and we have, Ms. Renee will be the guardian of keys. And we have a sign out sheet, no one gets a key unless you sign out, and you give it back. And, everybody's key that has a key in this room will not have a, well, they'll have a key, but it won't work after it gets relocked, and they'll have to be, signed out and all that stuff, but yeah, absolutely.
Not gonna be willing to.
No. Right. I want your, blood, fingerprint, okay.
And oftentimes on those access to key agreements, it's wise to put a dollar figure, which people to the repeat. So you say, you do not have your key, charge you.
We'll just have to do it. Yeah.
Successful, that you can at least.
Yeah.
If there's some associated.
We're working on potholes, we have to go with the cold patch, temperature just, and timing, and staff doesn't allow for me to get the hot patch.
Right.
Along with key, asked to have the contractor produce 2 bids, standard keys, and then an additional bid with a true lock on the west door of the police department. It's a combination of, and produces a report as leaders in the whole, everybody's given a code that needs a code is given a code. The reason for this is I have heard in the short time I've been here that El Paso County and Colorado State bathrooms are few and far between up in this part of the world. Serves a couple of purposes. It's going to put another marked unit in our town. Plus, it's also going to kind of pay them back a little bit for some of the help they gave us when we were hurting for people. Be able to go there and put on a pot of coffee and do their reports when it's cold. They'll be able to do their accident diagrams and stuff, and there's plenty of room there for that. I see it as nothing but goodwill to be returned to us, to the town. So I do have the money in my budget to do that. So that's it. 1033 program, it got all biffed up because of the change, and that's a technical term, because of the change from police department to marshal's office. I'm working with the feds right now to get that done, and with our state coordinator. Scott came by and got the server today from the marshal's office. We're gonna put that server into service. Sounds kind of silly. But there's gonna be actual communication between the marshal's office and town hall now. If we get it set up properly, when it comes in and needs a police report, Renee will be able to go into that particular file, pull that police report electronically, print it out and give it to them. She's not gonna have to wade through thousands of files unless it's prior to March 20th, 2017. Then she gets to wade through the files. I'm also in contact with Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Apparently they were the police department or marshal's office or whatever was no longer in existence as of last April. So they shut down our CCIC and our NCIC access. I'm in the process of putting that back together. We will have one terminal which I will use, no reserve will be using it. It will be my use and my use only. I'll run stuff for them. I'll go through the monotonous training and everything else to get that done, but that's in the works. On the bank robber deal, I had a meeting last week with UPass Elementary. They never got any word on it. They never got a word on it. I'm working to solve that in conjunction with Sean Goins, who's the school district safety officer up at Woodland Park. He says it's an easy fix. When Woodland Park goes up on lockdown, they send out a message to their schools. All it amounts up to is getting somebody from UPass, getting their cell phone number in that message that goes out. So it's a fairly easy fix.
Good, thank you for doing that. Okay,
The unmarked police vehicle, are we gonna get some identification on that?
we do need to do that. We need to look into doing that, if we're gonna keep them all, but that's another
That's
conversation.
the whole thing. I guess my question to the board, that thing has got 156,000 miles on it. Do we want to spend the time and effort to pull that dog kennel back out, put the seats and the guards back in, get the thing repainted and get some identification on it? Or do we want to proceed toward replacing it? That's my question. I don't have the funds to replace it in my budget.
I do know we had a nice conversation with the sheriff, and he's gonna be looking for vehicles. We just don't know when that would be.
True. He offered us an Impala,
Don't think it
which would be really great for 24 and UPass.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we'd be sliding backwards in it.
Right, so I
But
think
it
that's,
was an extremely nice offer on the sheriff.
we could have our, too. I said no.
What kind of vehicle are you looking
I need something that's 4-wheel drive, full size, because of what we have to carry. Explorer or above. And in my position, by the time I got 79 pounds worth of equipment in today too. And I fortunately found money in the budget before we got in trouble over it. But I'm gonna be able to outfit some cars. Probably,
What's the budget for not a new car, but for a car? For an Explorer?
for like a Explorer, and once again, it depends. All the equipment's fairly new in these vehicles, so we could get them and move that over. State contract, I looked at it, and pickups, Tahoes, vehicles of that size, full-size pickups, 4 doors, we gotta be able to haul bad guys every once in a while. They're running somewhere about 34,000. The Impalas and stuff are running 25 to 26,000 on state contract.
That's brand new.
Yes.
I think that's something for the capital asset project
On June 6th.
on June 6th. Here. I think that's something we do need to discuss, and I know that you've been looking into, so.
Now, the Explorers, surprisingly, they're 73,000 miles. They're not,
What year are they?
somebody something I'd have to check on that, trustee, to make sure. They asked about a pursuit policy, and I said, with the vehicles we've got, we're not pursuing anybody anyway. If you just get outrun us, we're good.
Those 2 vehicles were from the
Radio
Yes.
You probably need to touch base with them, see what's cycling off from them as well.
That's maybe get some maintenance records and stuff from them and see what they've got available, if they have anything. When I did meet with the chief, he pointed out one, he said, we're getting ready to get rid of this one, but you don't want it, because it was apparently it was crashed real bad and the engine had blown up on it. So everything was kind of pieced together on it.
Yeah, I can see why we'd avoid that.
We down to the end of town, we just.
Right.
But it's a really good deal.
Right.
We need another paperweight.
But as far as Markings and stuff, I prefer marked vehicles across the board. I honestly do, always have. They just make more sense to me. Unless you're an investigator, and that's your full-time job, or a narcotics guy, and you wanna grow the beard and wear the cool sunglasses. Right, I think marked is the way to go. And if we're gonna mark one, we need to mark them all identical. I've got some thoughts on that, which I think will appease a lot of people.
Okay.
I've got some thoughts on that.
All right, well, bring that to us the next meeting, I think that'd be good.
Okay.
The next item, I'm going to request an executive session. It's regarding the personnel policy, and according to our state statute 246402F, it is a personnel matter involving more than one employee. They have requested that it be an executive session and not public, that all of the board attend along with our employees.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will move into executive session, but we need a little break first.
Yes, sir, go ahead. You got a second? You got? No.
I don't know, I just got back.
How are you?
Right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're sounding very good to me.
Just great.
I'll come by and say.
Over kids. Over kids.
If it worked for Dennis, I'd be happy.
They weren't.
I probably won't get in until a little bit later. Yeah.
I'm super.